How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Software Inc., welcome back to Hard Mode, and welcome back to Nodrasoft. I've been a little bit busy since the last episode, and I went ahead and built this, which is a new building dedicated to marketing teams. As you can see, it's not that far away from our existing buildings, and there are a lot of marketing teams in a relatively small space. Specifically, there are 6 marketing teams in this building. There's one over here, there's one here, there's 2 on this floor, 2 on this floor, and then upstairs we have space for 4 leaders' offices, as well as a little lounge and some utilities just down here. Now, the reason there's only 4 leaders' offices is because my design of this building kind of sucks, and essentially I didn't really think ahead, to be quite honest. So what I've done is I've given Marketing Team 2 and Marketing Team 3 an HR management of 10 employees, so their leader will be in the shared space, and then Teams 4, 5, 6, and 7 on these floors have HR management with 11 marketers, with their leaders just upstairs. And it's kind of nice to look at. I'm going to be honest. It's nice seeing a few more marketing teams. Now, the reason I've done this is because I was looking at some of the comments on the last episode, and I saw a few people mention that my marketing tasks are routinely falling behind, specifically the tasks in the top right of the screen. Now, I'm kind of happy to report that they're not really falling behind all that much anymore. If we speed things up a little bit, you'll see that Bucket Green is actually going to get its marketing task finished, and then Roaster Coaster 4 Deluxe Edition gets finished, and then Soundscape 2 also gets finished. So my idea with these new marketing teams is that we're going to have Marketing Team 1, which is the giant 42-person marketing team, and we're going to keep them doing whatever I need to assign them to. So they are going to be dealing with Bucket Blue, for example. But once marketing teams 2 through 7 are full, 2 and 3 at the moment actually being full, I'm essentially going to go and assign them to some of the project management. So for example, we're going to take marketing team 1 off of the games task, and we're going to say teams 2 and 3 are going to be dealing with pre-marketing there. And then post-marketing, it's exactly the same thing. Team 2 and team 3 can deal with that. And essentially, we're now saying that those teams specifically can deal with marketing those products. Now, it is fewer people overall, which might not be too good for us, but the hope is that by doing this, we can, I guess, have a little bit less strain on individual teams. That's why we got more support teams as well. So now we have more marketing teams who can hopefully do a good job with the different products. So essentially what we're waiting on now, teams 2 and 3 are doing games. Team 4 and 5, we need to get their employees up, and 6 and 7, we need to get their employees up, because they'll be assigned to tools and hardware, respectively. Essentially, that's the goal. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that sort of deals with some of the concerns that I saw in the comments on that last episode. And hopefully that's something we can kind of continue doing, is just optimizing things and, stopping my employees from getting too stressed out. Although I will say, I would have really liked to have a meeting room over in this building, but I just couldn't do it. I didn't really have the space. I wanted this little design right here. And I mean, I think it looks pretty good. I also want to take a second and point out that Software Inc. has had a bit of an update. Large windows now connect on anything up to a 90-degree angle. So essentially, this right here it's not just necessarily one pane of glass, but it looks really cool and it's really nicely connected together. And that applies over on our little cafe thing as well. It applies on these corners right here, and it applies on this building and all of its corners as well. So that's an update. I think it was beta 1.2.3 or something like that. It's relatively recent, and I'm almost certain that update went out in the time between me recording the last episode and taking a screenshot for that episode's thumbnail. It was weird because I logged out of the game, and then a couple of hours later logged back in for the screenshot, and I was like, man, something looks weird with these corners. and it's only just hit me because I only just read the patch notes. Now, while we're talking about new things that I've been working on between episodes, I've also finally started the design phase of V, our 5th version of our distribution platform, and it does have everything that I wanted for a digital distribution platform. So obviously the hope here is that by doing this, we end up with a huge amount of clients, I guess, contracts being signed, all that stuff with V, because my business reputation is 6 stars right now. So I would imagine that things will go quite well for me there. It's just going to take some time because it's not really a priority, because what we're working on at the minute, for the most part, is Bucket Blue, which is interesting because it's resulting in a lot of my employees complaining about working too many tasks, and all of those employees tend to be from the systems, network, and 2D teams, which a lot of that stuff is shared with Bucket Blue, specifically systems and 2D. So we really need to get Bucket Blue moving into development rather than design, because that'll hopefully stop the employees from complaining as much, but that's probably going to take another little while. Bucket Blue, to be honest, is taking way too long. It really is. It's taking far too long to get done. I actually don't remember when we last put out Bucket. It was 4 years ago. Okay. Well, that's not actually so bad. It had been 5 years since the prior. I mean, I guess it's probably going to be closer to 6 or 7 years between green and blue, but we can maybe make that work. Maybe it'll be okay. Regardless, that's a thing for future Dylan to worry about. What I've got to worry about right now is the fact that we are going into January of 2013, which means that Sniffer 3 is essentially about to go out. Also interesting that wow, it is wild seeing these things just queued up and ready to go. Morph 5, I think, is, I would assume, going to go into, I guess, going to go into beta as soon as Sniffer 3 goes out. And that actually reminds me that apparently, if you set secondary dev teams, let me see here, the design phase is usually shorter than the implementation phase, but you can use a secondary development team to run projects in parallel and pick up slack. So, I wonder, I did see a comment talking about this, where if I was to go and say, I mean, I don't really know which team I would use for this. I could, I guess, let's experiment. Let's see what happens if I set my update teams to do this for a second. Does that mean, yeah, it does work that way. It actually does work that way. If you have secondary dev teams, you can develop 2 things in parallel. That's kind of wild. I don't necessarily want my update teams doing that, so that's problematic. So I'm gonna take them out. But yeah, that's very interesting that's how that works. We're developing 2 products now from one project. So what that says to me is that we need more teams, or we just set all of the same teams as the secondary dev teams and just overwhelm them even more. I don't know that seems like a good idea. I really I really don't know that that's a good idea. Yeah, I don't know about this. This might be a really bad idea. What happens if I do game dev 1 and 2? Oh, it does just push it forward. Ooh. Okay, so now we're developing 2 products in game dev. I'm probably going to regret that, but it does mean that we're going to have things going out more often. Yeah, that's a terrible idea. We're gonna go for it, but it's a terrible idea. Either way, Sniffer 3 is due to, I guess, release this month. Morph 5 is looking to release in March of 2014, so in just over a year's time, which is fine. So let's see how things go. Let's see if Sniffer 3 goes out at this part of the month, or if it's going to be going out in the second half of January. Whatever the case, we're not going to be getting an update for it immediately, but that's fine, so long as I can get the print task going. And wow, it does look like it's going to be a second half of January release. And we failed a fire inspect. 5 million! Okay, well, yeah, that actually makes sense. I didn't put any sprinklers or fire alarms, I think, in any of the new buildings. So that actually, yeah, that does make perfect sense, I suppose. I'm also wondering if perhaps I have slowed down the development, the planned release of Sniffer by setting up 2 development tasks at once. I'm actually slightly concerned that I've screwed this up, which would be bad. I'll be honest. Oh, wait, no, did it release? It did. It's wait, where did the release go? Is it in here? There we go. So Sniffer 3 has released. Is it any good? It's bad. Oh, and marketing is sparse. That's oh no. Oh no. So we went from great to bad. That's worrying. That's actually kind of worrying. Start printing this. Let's go for like 50,000 at a time. I don't think this is going to be a success. We might need to give this a little bit of love. And for porting, I mean, we can put it on a few systems there and hope for the best. Although we're going to pause that task because we need to prioritize porting Roaster Coaster 4. So that's good. That's just what we needed. We needed that to be terrible. Oh boy, that has me really concerned. That has me really, really concerned. But I guess it's okay. Let me just check my marketing teams. Still struggling to fill them. That's always good. We're still struggling to fill these marketing teams. 5 and 6 need to have, 4 and 5 need to have 12 people in them. 6 and 7 need to have 12 people in them. All before I'm willing to assign them to anything. Man, that's rough. That is really rough. That Sniffer 3 did so poorly right there. We can see here how much money it's potentially going to make or potentially going to lose. Marketing team 1 is doing everything they can with it, which is fair enough. I'm not expecting a miracle on this. It's bad. It's a bad piece of software. It's at minus 28,000. What do you want, Barney Cole? A luxury meal, a $3,000 meal every day. You know what? Have a $300,000 car. That seems like a much better idea. So how did it do? It made money. It turned $21,000. Okay. I mean, fair enough, I guess. That's that's fair enough. It's not a lot of money, but it'll do. We got some deals as well, so we'll take this host job. We'll take these print jobs as well because we can absolutely do those, and it just maintains our business reputation. And I mean, looking at this, marketing is still sparse. It's also kind of rough that a year after release, Soundscape 3 is down to 1,100 active users, where Soundscape 2 still has 398,000. We're still marketing Soundscape 2, by the way. It made more money last month than its successor, which is interesting. I think that says a lot about the state of the, I think that really says a lot about the state of my project management. So let's go into options and let's extend development time to about 150% on the tools. And on the games, I'm going to go to 150% as well. And on hardware, it's 100%. I'm not expecting a miracle on this at all. Let's bring that to 120. And we'll just sort of see what happens. I'm not really sure how I feel about Soundscape 2 doing multiple millions of dollars more in sales than its successor. That is kind of wild to me. Who just retired? Who are we looking at here? You weren't a leader, that's fine. We have some deals. It's a print job, I'll take that. And we have manufacturing for a cell phone. Okay, we can absolutely do that. Let's accept it. We'll get that moving out. And all should be good. We should see some cell phones getting manufactured over here. And we absolutely do see the parts coming around. So that's fine. We've got, I love looking at this. This is one of my favorite parts of the business, is just watching these cell phones and these products all just get loaded into this warehouse. I'm so excited for Nerdrasoft Universe 1. I think it's going to be so cool making our own cell phone. So now it's March of 2013, and Commander Stabby Face 2 has just been released. It is great, which is fantastic. I mean, the original was outstanding, but it was only ordinary. This one is great, but it's inspiring. It also has sparse marketing, which is a bit of a concern. I don't love that, but what we'll do is we'll go ahead and start printing, we'll say 75,000 copies of this guy. And we need to start porting this as well. And we need to look into, I think, getting a dedicated porting team, because my porting tasks are taking forever. So I might actually do a little bit. I might have to look up on Google how exactly porting works, because it's something that I've never really looked into all that much. But I need to know what do you need to port something efficiently in Software Inc. I feel like that's something we all need to know, because it takes forever. Now, admittedly, I probably shouldn't be using my update teams anyway, because they are also trying to update things as well as port them. So I guess a dedicated team to do this is going to be necessary. And we do have space in the top of the tower, so let's do a little bit of research and see if I can find a little something about porting. So we have a thread on the Steam forums, and apparently porting teams need to have skill in system programming, but then apparently the above advice about porting is bad and gets worse the more you get into the game. Long story short, what I've seen from this thread, and also this thread on the Software Inc. subreddit, you just need a high-level programmer. Apparently it doesn't matter what skill, but we could probably go for systems. So let's get to porting teams and see what happens. And so just like that, we have porting team 1 and porting team 2. They are going to work in these spaces at the top of the building, which are going to be dark and miserable spaces without windows, but the hope, I guess, is that we can get a bunch of people into the porting teams. It's going to be a bunch of systems programmers, and hopefully by doing this, we can get the ports to be considerably quicker. I don't know if it necessarily will work. I don't know if the idea of just systems programmers is the way to go, but we'll see what happens. This might be old advice that I've just got from Reddit and the Steam forums, but we'll see what happens. Let's take this print job because we can. Is the iStation 3 a console? It is a console, so we can absolutely take that deal. Is Play Connect a console as well? It is a console, so we can take both of these manufacturing tasks, which I'm absolutely going to do because that sounds kind of fantastic. So let's, I guess, hope that the porting teams grow relatively quickly. I suppose that's kind of what we're looking for here, is for these teams to have a good number of people in them. And what we'll do is just go and say that the porting teams can deal with porting Roaster Coaster 4. I don't know that they're necessarily going to be good at this, but we'll see what happens. There's only going to be like 9 or 10 people in total working on this port, but if it looks like it's going faster with that many people, then this has been a success, and I think that's how we can look at this. But we also need to wait for the employees to actually get here, and they are. And looking at it, I mean, it's making a tiny bit of progress. Let's be very clear here. But with like 9 people, that tiny little bit of progress, that seems like kind of a big deal to me. So I'm not against that. We also just had a couple of people retire. A lot of people retire. Doesn't look like any of them were leaders though, so I'm not super concerned about that. Now here's an interesting question. Did Commander Stabby Face 2 make money? It did 2.6 million last month. That's actually not bad. It looks like it's about to try and turn a profit as well. Now what's interesting about that is that we're still trying to port Commander Stabby Face to a bunch of systems. So I'm almost tempted to say that we just don't do that. It almost seems like a good idea to just not do that and just port the most recent stuff. I would like to finish porting Roaster Coaster 4, I will say that, but I think once we're done with Roaster Coaster 4, we go into Commander Stabby Face 2 and Sniffer 3 to see if we can, you know, continue to make money off of those. We actually haven't even hired anyone new to these teams yet. It's kind of taking a while there, but that's fine. It's it's going to do that, right? It's not a huge deal if it takes a while. It does seem like the porting is at least going a little bit quicker. Oh, we're up to 13 people in this team now. That's actually kind of beautiful. Okay, so we're up to 13 there. We're up to 9 and 7 on marketing teams 4 and 5. So I'll tell you what, let's go into the tools thing and let's say that we are going to swap these out. So pre-marketing is now going to be done by marketing team 4 and 5. And then the post-marketing is also going to be marketing teams 4 and 5. And then what we can do is go into hardware and essentially say that this is going to be done by teams 6 and 7. So 6 and 7 right there. And then this one is also going to be by 6. Well, there they are, 6 and 7 right there. So that should keep us pretty good, right? That should keep us pretty solid in terms of what we're able to do there. And that should mean that my main marketing team is now free to do whatever I need to assign them to. And we'll see if that maybe just improves the flow of things a little bit with regards to, I guess, everything else. So now that we've broken down marketing to hopefully be a little bit more efficient, or at least a little bit more employee first, I think we should probably do the same with updates, because I was looking at all of the bugs that are verified for things like Roller Coaster World, which admittedly I don't know if we need to keep supporting that. It only has 772 active users, so we'll cancel support there. Hell Fortress has a few verified bugs, but again, only 1,000 active users. Let's cancel support there. Soundscape 2, that has a lot of active bugs and needs those to be fixed. There's 400,000 active users. Long story short, what I'm getting at is that we have got a lot of bugs and they do need fixed. I'm also pretty sure Bucket Green, if we look at tools, Bucket Green isn't something that we're automating. So Bucket Green can get an update. We can bring it up to date in terms of tech levels because it's going to need that. So what I want to do is get my 2D team and get my systems team, and I'm going to get update team 1. I'm not going to use every team for this because I just don't think we need to. There is a concept of diminishing returns in Software Inc., where eventually throwing so many people at things just doesn't speed it up anymore. I do want to prioritize that update, but what I'm getting at is that at this stage, we could probably go in and say that instead of every single team working on updates for the games, it's just update teams, say, 1 and 2, right? So those teams can deal with updates for our video games. Then for tools, we can go and say that's going to be update teams 3 and 4. So now those guys are working on updates for the tools. And then for hardware, it's going to be update teams 5 and 6. Now, the interesting thing about this is that teams 5 and 6 aren't actually going to have that much to do. So I'm going to throw team 5 into games as well, and I'm going to throw team 6 into the tools, so they'll have some overlap in that regard. So there's 3 teams keeping the games and the tools updated, and 2 teams working on the hardware. And that'll just break things down a little bit. It'll hopefully stop those update teams from being super overwhelmed with everything I'm trying to get them to do. And I'm hoping that by having the porting teams working on porting things, it means that we're going to be going further into that space of not overwhelming my employees and keeping them relatively happy. Now let's see. Donovan Roberts has retired. We haven't had any team leaders retire. Yeah, I don't think we've had any team leaders retire yet. We might have had 1 or 2. I think it was a lead designer. It was Brian Griffin that retired. He wasn't a team leader. He was I'm pretty sure he was a designer. Oh, so here's a little bit of good news. Bucket Blue is ready to go into development at long last. Now, when did we start working on this? 2000. Wow, we've been working on this for almost 5 years. That's rough. Brian Griffin was the original lead designer, so I guess that's fair enough. That might have slowed it down a little bit. I might have forgot to fix that one. I'm hoping that the actual development phase goes really quickly here. If it doesn't, that's going to be a bit of a problem, but we'll pay attention to it. We'll see how it goes. I'm not going to market that thing until, I guess, until it's pretty much ready to go. Once it goes into beta, we can start marketing there, because obviously that's going to give us a better idea of when it's actually going to be done. And I mean, it's been in development for 5 years anyway. It's not exactly going to be state of the art, is it? So we will see. We will see what happens there. I suppose my programmers are going to be split a little bit. I'll tell you what, let's make that less of a priority and let them focus on the update to Bucket Green. We can get that done and then go full steam ahead on Bucket Blue. Now, in terms of other releases, the next thing we're looking at is going to be Morph 5 in March of 2014, which isn't really that far away, followed by Roaster Coaster 5 in, I guess, September 2014. And then the big thing is Nerdresoft Universe 1 in October of 2014. Next year is shaping up to be huge. It's shaping up to be a really, really big year. And with that in mind, I suppose we can go ahead and leave it there for today. It's been a bit of an administrative day. I think we've got our new marketing teams, we've got our new porting teams, and I think breaking things down a little bit is going quite well for us. A little bit disappointing that Soundscape 3 is a flop. A little bit disappointing that we put out some bad software, but I'm thinking 2014 is going to be our biggest year yet. We're putting out a cell phone. That's going to be followed by a console. We need to start looking into secondary dev teams. There's a lot that we still need to do, and that's crazy to me that at this stage of the game, there is still loads to do. But that is going to do us for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!